South Africa, a country with a proud heritage and often referred to as the Rainbow Nation, a title that illuminates the country's cultural diversity. It is also a country facing a devastating HIV/AIDS epidemic. An estimated 5 million adults in South Africa are known to be living with HIV or AIDS. In May of 2004, 9 MCPS students traveled to South Africa as part of the GapBuster's Learning Center's Young Ambassadors program and the Silver Spring Boys and Girls Club. The trip was organized to raise awareness, learn more about HIV and AIDS, and to expose the students to cross-cultural exchange. During the 10-day trip, the Young Ambassadors worked with South African students on a peer-to-peer educational strategic plan, with the goal of returning to their communities, schools and classrooms as peer educators. This is an overview of their experience and an opportunity for you to travel along on this journey to see and hear what these students experienced and what they learned.
It's killing so many people. That's why it's so important that we need to come to terms with the problem that we have now and try and do something about it before it gets out of hand.
I think I'll be changed. Probably I'll appreciate what I have more because I'm not really sure. I have to really see how it is over there.
I'm trying to just imagine because this is going to be a real experience.
I hope that they don't just stare at me because I'm just like an outsider. That's what I hope. I believe that I will be changed as a person and how I see things now.
Well, HIV/AIDS is really one of the principal obstacles that South Africa is facing in its development. HIV/AIDS is a terrible, terrible health catastrophe that is probably along the lines of the worst health catastrophe that's ever affected or afflicted mankind.
I've got friends who are infected with the disease. I've got relatives who are infected with the disease. I've known people who, in fact, they're dead now. Yeah.
The hospitality and generosity of the South Africans was evident at each school the students visited. The student body and staff greeted the group with cultural music, singing and dance.
I heard that South Africa has got the highest rate of HIV people in the whole world, so it affects us very much in South Africa. That's why I think as a youth we should actually try and abstain from sex and stuff like that. That's why I think it's affecting South Africa as a whole, not just as individuals. But
I think HIV is a lot in South Africa. Maybe it's because of a lot of people. We've got a lot of people in South Africa. That's why there's more HIV, and teenagers, they're getting sexually active these days. That's why there's more HIV in South Africa.
The HIV/AIDS problem is the most dreadful disease that is attacking the world, and it's going to drop the economy of our world. So that's what I learned about AIDS.
HIV problem is very big problem. Is killing other people. But now we are encouraging people to take care of herself because AIDS is killing some more people, and the message to young people is just to condomize and be afraid of AIDS.
It's important because HIV is just spreading like a wildfire. So I should think we have to start with the teenagers because this is the right time. Otherwise, they'll make some mistakes.
% of the pregnant women in Soweto test HIV positive. We're not sure of that, so that's the pregnant childbearing age kind of age group. The statistics that we're not sure about the rest, the general statistics, but probably around 12 to 18%. With 50% unemployment, there's a lot of poverty in Soweto, and that's one of the problems of getting healthcare to people. Also, we have a problem with getting men to come to support groups and to come to clinic. Culturally, it's not acceptable for men to access healthcare in the same way that women do. So that's another problem that we're trying to work on, to encourage young men especially to get more involved.
They should start to recognize that HIV is there and they should be responsible, because it does not have any race, it does not have anything, no matter you rich or you poor, but at the end of the day, if you are sexually active and if you are not careful enough, you will be infected.
It was an opportunity to learn more of the South African culture and to make new friends. Students also took the time to make presentations about HIV and AIDS and engaged in peer discussions.
South Africa really is about a 10-year-old democracy, at least in terms of its transition from apartheid. And in the course of this, South Africans are dealing with tremendous problems in education, funding education, in making a transition from a very, very stratified economic system where whites controlled the vast majority of the economic resources of the country. They're diversifying the base. They're working really hard to make South Africa much more representative and inclusive.
It's a re-education, because after having lived through the oppression, it's not easy to say to people, now you are free, and therefore, there is need for that whole re-education. And therefore, our education, our responsibility towards our kids is to explain to them what it means to be free.
Our country has come a very long way. Ne? We have politicians like President Mandela who fought for our country, ne? And then we came a long way because we were taken down especially as blacks, ne? So now we're equal, we have equal rights, ne? We were oppressed for a long time, so now things have changed, ne? We will have equal rights with whites, we can interact with whites, and then we have opportunities are opened for us.
This is not a job for me. This is really a calling, and I feel very blessed to be able to work here every day, to work with the children, to work with the people from the community. If you have changed just one child's life, it's wonderful. It's a feeling that I cannot describe. If we get children into the village that's just been taken out of horrible circumstances or have been abused or abandoned, to just hold their children and to love them. It's an indescribable feeling to know that you as an individual can make a difference. Even if it's just one child, it's worth it.
I'm just very sad right now. Just to see all these little kids, they're abandoned and sick. It just makes me very sad. It's just a lot of emotions going through my mind.
When they come in, we love them and we bond with them, and we keep our standards of care very high. And then when they die or when they pass on, we always know that we've done the best we can.
I think in the back of their mind, they're all disappointed, they're all sad. But life does go on, and I saw that with the students at the school. Even though you're unemployed, you are living with AIDS, you're still happy. You have your family, you have yourself, you have your friends. And what I like the most is that no matter what, they're all just close together. That's something we don't have at home. Everybody's just at home, everybody's in there doing their own thing. They never have time for anybody else. Over here, they always make time to help someone.
They have been through so much, and still there's a lot of things that have to happen before they could get to a point where everything will be better for them. And obviously there's a lot of poverty and a lot of kids just running around without their parents. I saw yesterday at the orphanage a little girl who was very skinny, and she was eating leaves because she was hungry. And I don't know, I felt very helpless, like knowing that I'm over here in the United States, I have everything, and then over here, they don't even have food. Some people go 2 days without eating. It's devastating.
See you guys tomorrow. Bye. Hopefully I'll have a great experience. I probably will.
Yeah. We'll buy you chicken feet, don't worry.
Ah, really?
It's nice.
Okay.
It's like chicken. It's nice. Chicken feet. You don't mind eating it?
Chicken feet?
Throughout the trip, the students visited several schools where they actively engaged in peer discussions and listened to the youth of South Africa talking about the growing epidemic in their country.
My favorite moments was going to the schools because you got to see people your own age and you got to teach them about HIV and AIDS, and they taught us. Some of them taught us also.
Well, I learned that some of the kids, they know about it, but they just don't believe it could happen to them. Because AIDS, to some kids here, is America's idea to discourage sex.
I've seen a lot of poverty, a lot of people who don't have homes, a lot of people who need food. I don't know. I was really moved at the orphanage knowing all those kids had HIV. I've also, the schools, to see how kids, they want the education, they're inspired.
And I hope these kids will go back with more of appreciation of what they have, more appreciation of people in general. I think they'll be more compassionate, more understanding. And these children that I brought, we're all from Montgomery County, which is you know, a very rich county itself. And even though most of these kids are from a disadvantaged background, and some of them are, you would never, they're not nothing comparative to what we see here in South Africa. And I'm hoping that they come back with a total different perspective and a better outlook on what they do have and appreciate things more.
I don't know, I wish like everybody could come down here to see how it is and have their own experience of what it feels like, because it's an emotion and feelings that you really can't describe at all.
It was a trip that strengthened their self-worth, raised the awareness of HIV and AIDS, provided them with an understanding of cultural differences, and offered an educational experience which they can share with other students in their school and classrooms.
Proudly South African. My country represents soft hands that care for the nation, soft hands that shake hands to other races, soft hands that welcome unity and prosperity, the hands of South Africa. I am proudly South African, the flower that attracts other bees to its juicy nectar, the flower of divinity, the flower that pours its juicy nectar to the world so that they may gain the taste, the flower of South Africa. I am proudly South African, the rivers of our nations, the rivers and dams that combine to make this country a united one. Mr. President Thabo Mbeki, Thabo meaning happiness and joy, bringing Thabo to us as South Africans. He strives to bring the best to us, our South Africa, my South Africa. Talking of prestigious people, let me talk of a hero, my hero, our hero, the extraordinary Mr. Nelson Mandela. He brought us freedom and democracy. You are a hero, Nelson. Thank you for making us proud of South Africa, South Africa, South Africa, the country of peace and justice. Let us share Ubuntu, my South Africa. Thank you very much.